Section 4.1.RA-2. A pediatrician wants to determine the relation that may exist between a child's height and head circumference. She randomly selects 8 children, measures their height and head circumference, and obtains the data that's shown in a table. Now in Part A it says, if the pediatrician wants to use height to predict head circumference, determine which variable is the explanatory variable and which is the response variable. Now the response variable is the variable whose value can be explained by the value of the explanatory variable. In other words, the response variable is the dependent variable, while the explanatory variable is the independent variable. In this scenario, height is the explanatory variable because the pediatrician wishes to use the height to explain the head circumference. And since the height is the explanatory variable, then we would say that the head circumference is the response variable. Now in Part B, they want us to draw a scatter diagram. Now a scatter diagram is a graph that shows the relationship between 2 quantitative variables measured on the same individual. Each individual in the data set is represented by a point in the scatter diagram. The explanatory variable is plotted on the horizontal axis and the response variable is plotted on the vertical axis, and do not connect points when drawing a scatter diagram. So let's open up the data in StatCrunch. Okay, so if necessary, it says we're going to enter in the information in the explanatory variable column 1 and the response variable column 2. Well, the data is already in, and we can already see that it's already titled in both columns. Now the next thing we want to do is we're going to select graph and then scroll down to scatter plot. And now we're going to choose the explanatory variable for the X column and the response variable for the Y column. Well, the X variable is the explanatory variable, and that represents the height in inches. And the Y variable is represented by the head circumference. And then we can go ahead and add anything that we wanted to, but all we want are, we don't want the lines, so we can go ahead and scroll down any further. It should be already labeled, so let's go ahead and select compute. And then therefore, you can see that we have our scatter diagram. So let me go ahead and copy that. And then we're going to compare it to the result on my lab. So we can see here that we have our scatter diagram, which is similar to what we would see for our answer.